We're here with Dave Feldman, of course, the founder and president of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championships. Now, Mr. Feldman, of course, I know you're a Philly guy. You have some Jersey roots with your father, you talked about during the press conference, but the way that combat sports has gone a lot, New York's always been slow. So now you're in Jersey here. They've been the gateway for getting things going over in other states. Of course, you're proud to be here, you love it, but how big is this card for you, not just to ingratiate the Jersey audience to the BKFC, but also to maybe open things up in states like New York, Vegas, and other places around the country?
I think it's big. I mean, you know, you got to put New Jersey on the map as one of the highest regulatory standards in all of combat sports in the United States, and for us to run an event here, to pass through, get all the medicals done, and do everything that we had to do. It was a little difficult, I'll be honest with you, for the first one, because we didn't know how they did things, and I have to say, they are the strictest commission I've ever dealt with, which is good. It's good for the fighters, but it's a little tough for us because we're not used to, you know, some of the procedures that they did. But I think it's a really big gateway for us, because being successful here, not just being approved here and doing a show here, but having a successful show here, I think so opens the doors certainly for New York and Nevada.
And now, usually whenever you come to these areas, you make sure you get some local guys. You had, of course, Frankie Edgar and Jimmy Rivera. My question was going to be, what did Jimmy do to you? Because usually you separate the guys, let them get that hometown pop, but he was going to have another guy just as popular as him, but now Frankie, unfortunately, had to pull away. But how important is it for you to get those fans to get involved, to get in, you know, behind the local fighters, and not just bring them in with great fights, but also say, hey, here's a local guy, you can get behind and really fall in love with?
It's so important. Look, BKFC as a brand, as a promotion, is really, really growing. But to fill up an arena like this, we definitely need some local talent on there. So having the local guys on here that have a good following, that have a great tenure in the UFC, in big organizations, and have that type of experience and that fan base is super important for BKFC.
And now, of course, it's headlined by the King and Queen of Violence belt. The King belt, of course, held by Mike Perry, fighting now Jeremy Stephens, who, is a dangerous guy, is a violent guy. But again, Mike Perry fighting a smaller guy. So what is it about Jeremy Stephens that makes him stand out? Do you think that he could take on the tougher, bigger, well, not tougher, but bigger opponent, a guy who's been fighting bigger guys for his whole career? What do you think about Jeremy Stephens that makes you think he has that can-do attitude, or that grit to get the King of Violence belt?
So when I sign a lot of new fighters, I always ask them why. Why do you want to do this? Like, why do you want to do this? What's your why? I do. And Jeremy Stephens' why is just a little different than Mike Perry. I think he's got something. He's got a chip on his shoulder. He's a smaller guy, and he really has a lot to prove. He made a really good name for himself in the UFC, but I think here is his chance to really put a stamp on his legacy. And I think he's got a little bit more to prove than Mike Perry, and I think that makes him a dangerous man.
And speaking of legacy, the Queen of Violence, you have two champions fighting each other, the kind of mega fight you want. Now, of course, Christine has been the face and oftentimes the mouth of the women's division. Jessica's coming in there trying to prove that she is just as tough, maybe even tougher, and could be a bigger draw. What is the future of the women's division? We've seen Christine clean out 125, essentially. Borger's coming in there when 145 and 135 kind of don't have that many fighters. She's the first bigger weight class champion. What's the status of the women's division after this Queen of Violence title?
Well, we just signed a couple girls in that weight division, Aspen Ladd and a couple other girls that are going to compete in the 145-pound division. I really want to concentrate on the 115, 125, 135, and 145, and that's all we're going to do for the women's division. We're not going higher, we're not going lower. We're going to have that focus in that core weight. We are putting a really, really big effort for the rest of this year and into the early 2026. Our goal is to sign another 50 women by the end of this year, so we have them all to compete for next year. So we're putting a lot of emphasis on the women's divisions, and I think this fight, this caliber of fight, two women that are really risking it all for the Queen of Violence. I mean, you got one of the baddest girls that ever fought bare knuckle in history against a girl, the first girl in bare knuckle history to ever score a real knockout. And they're going to collide here Saturday night. So I think that type of caliber and that type of excitement and that type of fight is really going to open up for the women's division.
Mr. Feldman, thank you so much for your time, and have a great show this weekend.